Ambassador Velthar had seen many things in his 3 centuries of diplomatic service to the Galactic Council. He had negotiated peace between species that communicated through bioluminescent pulses and those who spoke in quantum frequencies. He had witnessed the integration of silicon-based collectives and methane-breathing hive minds. But nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for humanity. The designation sat on his datapad like a warning klaxon. Earth, Quarantine Zone, Level 9, Threat, Do Not Approach. It had been 47 cycles since the Council made first contact with humanity. The initial surveys had been promising. A species on the cusp of interstellar travel, showing remarkable technological progress despite their late emergence. The Council had sent the standard greeting package expecting the usual response: awe, gratitude, perhaps some fumbling attempts at diplomacy. Instead, humanity had politely declined membership. "We appreciate the offer," their representative had said, a small female with kind eyes and an unsettling smile. "But we're not quite ready yet. Give us some time to get our house in order first." The Council, bemused but understanding, had agreed. Young species often needed time to adjust to the reality of a populated galaxy. They would check back in a decade. That was the first mistake. Velthar scrolled through the incident reports, his 3-fingered hand trembling slightly. The litany of chaos was staggering. Cycle 7. Human exploration vessel encounters Kresh pirates. Expected outcome: capture, ransom, or destruction. Actual outcome: humans board pirate flagship with something they call breaching charges, disable the crew with non-lethal weapons that induce temporary paralysis, so severe the Kresh needed medical intervention for weeks, and leave a note saying pick on someone your own size. The Kresh, a species that had terrorized shipping lanes for 2 centuries, immediately withdrew from that sector. Cycle 15. Human colony ship strays into Zephrant territorial space. The Zephrant territorial apex predators issue standard warning: leave or be destroyed. Humans respond with, "We're just passing through, friend. No need for hostility." When fired upon, human ship deploys defensive countermeasures so aggressive they accidentally disable 3 Zephrant battlecruisers. Humans then stop, render aid, repair the damage, share their defensive technology to prevent future misunderstandings, and continue on their way. The Zephrant Council is still in session trying to understand what happened. Cycle 23. Human science team discovers a derelict Vorlan dreadnought in deep space. The Vorlan had been the Council's enforcement arm before they mysteriously vanished 3,000 years ago. The humans, displaying either breathtaking courage or stupidity, board the ship, reactivate its systems, and bring it back to Earth for study. When the Council expressed concern about humans possessing Vorlan technology, the humans offered to share their findings. Knowledge should be free, they said. But it was Cycle 31 that had prompted the quarantine designation. The Kaldrim swarm had emerged from dark space, a species of hive-minded crystalline entities that consumed resources with ruthless efficiency. They had destroyed 17 colony worlds before the Council could mount a defense. Estimates suggested they would reach core Council space within 2 cycles. Humanity, still not a Council member, had watched the carnage with growing concern. Then, without asking permission or coordinating with Council forces, a human fleet appeared at the swarm's next target. What followed was the most one-sided military engagement in recorded history. Humans didn't fight like any species the Council had encountered. They fought like the universe itself had personally offended them. They used weapons the Council didn't know were possible, things that folded space, induced localized time dilation, and somehow convinced the swarm's own biology to turn against itself. They moved with a coordination that suggested either perfect telepathy or hundreds of hours of training. They showed no fear, only a grim determination that bordered on terrifying. The swarm broke. For the first time in their existence, they retreated. Humanity's response? "Sorry we didn't coordinate better. We're still learning this whole galactic community thing. Hope we didn't step on any toes." The Council's emergency session lasted 3 days. Every species representative had the same question. What were humans capable of if this was them being polite? Velthar had been tasked with updating the assessment. He pulled up the latest intelligence, gathered from the handful of species brave or foolish enough to interact with humans regularly. Humans, it turned out, had evolved on a death world, not the marginal category that most species called dangerous. but a genuine nightmare planet where everything from the weather to the microorganisms actively tried to kill them. They had adapted by becoming the most persistent, creative, and stubbornly optimistic species in the known galaxy. They had survived ice ages by wrapping themselves in the skins of the predators that hunted them. They had conquered diseases that should have wiped them out by deliberately exposing themselves to weakened versions. They had reached their moon using mathematics and controlled explosions before they had developed reliable long-distance communication. And now, with access to galactic technology, they were advancing at a rate that terrified the Council's xenobiologists. Every human ship was over-engineered to the point of absurdity. Every human colony had backup systems for their backup systems. Every human diplomat carried enough cultural knowledge to offend or befriend any species they encountered. And somehow, they usually managed both simultaneously. The most disturbing part? They genuinely liked most species they met. They were curious, helpful, and startlingly generous. They just also happened to be the galactic equivalent of a plasma grenade, wrapped in a friendly smile. Velthar finished his report with a single recommendation: leave them alone. Give them space, let them develop at their own pace, and pray to whatever deities one believed in, that when humanity finally decided to join the galactic community in full, they would still be in a polite mood. Because if this was humanity being diplomatic, the galaxy wasn't ready to see them being serious. He sealed the report and transmitted it to the council chambers. Somewhere on Earth, he knew, humans were probably doing something horrifying and helpful in equal measure, completely unaware that they had become the galaxy's most dangerous neighbor, and they would probably apologize for it later.